Hey everybody, it's Andrew Brown from the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp, and I am back. I was sick for quite a while, but almost a week. Probably for you, it doesn't seem like that. But last thing that we were working on was attempting to get CFN Toml to work, but I was getting this error which says undefined method exists, and so I did a quick lookup. And it looks like that for a later version of Ruby, they changed the pluralized version to be removed, and so we have to use exist. So this is an issue with the gem that I wrote. But I'm just curious, if we go check the Ruby version, it's using 3.2.1. So maybe when I wrote this library, it was for 2.8 or 2.9 or something like that. So this should be something very easy for me to fix. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go update the repo very quickly, and I'll see you back here in a moment, okay? All right, so what I've done is I've published a new gem version. The old one's 1.0.9 and the new one's 1.0.10. All I really did was have to go into this file here. It's not a very complex file if you want to read through it, but there is a part where it calls exists, and so it used to be exists, but they decided to drop that S syntax. So here I can see that it still says 1.0.9 installed. When working with Ruby gems, sometimes you have to uninstall the old version for it to pick up. Not always, it should pick up the new one, but gem uninstall CFN Toml. We could also specify the exact version to install, and that would also work as well. But I think I'd prefer to do this. So we'll just say install CFN Toml here. And yeah, now it's picking up 1.10. So I'll be back here in just a second. I just want to make sure that I tag this repo here, okay? All right, so what I'm going to do here is go and see if this works now. So what we'll just do is go back over to our cluster deploy here and see if it extracts out the information. It's still saying exists, so maybe I missed one here. Let me go double check here. So I have exist, exist. No, it's just the two cases here, unless I'm missing another one. I don't think so. I mean, there is the bin script, so possibly this has it as well. Exists. Oh, there we go. That's my problem here. I should have tested before I pushed. I'm not the best gem or library publisher, but if you're just curious how this works, I just update the version here. I'm going to do, you wouldn't ever have to do this, but I'm just going to do this quickly. So I'll say gem build CFM Toml gem spec. And then I'm going to push that version. So I'll say push CFN Toml 11. Okay, and then I can go back over here. And yeah, you could say specify the exact version you want to install, but I just find it easier to uninstall the older one. Yes. And then I'll try this again. So we'll install that again. And then I will go ahead and run the script again. And I'm still missing something. What am I missing here? I don't know. I'll be back in a second, okay? Actually, you know what? I think it probably was working, but when I pulled this, it probably still pulled the old version, because I know the latest one here is 1.0.12, and this one is, I just installed, it's 1.0.11, so probably I just have to wait a little bit here. So I'm just going to go ahead and tag this again. So this is more up to date here, and then I'll just push this. Okay, I'm just going to uninstall this again. And then I'm going to go ahead and install this. There we go, now it's using 12. So that's probably what my issue was. And so we'll go here and run it. And so now it should be extracting out those parameters, which it is. Notice it's creating the change set. So this is now working correctly. And so we are now able to use CFM Toml. So, I mean, that is totally fine. We know that's going to work. I'm not going to provision that. Just let me log into my AWS account. All right, so I'm in my AWS account here. I'm going to make my way over to CloudFormation because I don't necessarily want to deploy the stack right this moment. So what we'll go do is delete this one here. And you know what? We should probably utilize it for both of these stacks. I'm just trying to decide here. If we go back over to the networking stack here, because we have CFN bucket, CFN path here. But I think what I would rather do is extract it out and do the exact same thing. So I'm sure it will work properly. So what we'll do is go back to CloudFormation and we'll tear down our old CFN network stack here. And while that's going, we'll go update this. And we will add in, we want bucket, region, stack name, parameters. I'll go ahead and grab those here. and we will go ahead and paste that in. Allow. That's the password. I don't want that there. Now I got to go rotate one of my passwords. I'll be back in a second, okay? There we go. That was one of my passwords. So I'm just going to go be back here in a second, okay? All right, there we go. So that was my AWS account password, but I've reset that. If you ever want to know how to do that, you go to your security credentials, you go to manage console access, and then you can put a custom password in here, and that's what I did. So, you know, it happens, it's not a big deal. But anyway, what I want to do, and we know we always have, or at least I have trouble with copy paste, but we'll go ahead and bring these over. Now, this stack name isn't being set here. So what I want to do is go over to wherever these files are. I'm trying to remember where we configured this. So where did we put these configurations? This is in AWS CFN cluster config Toml. Okay, so we put them alongside their actual files here. So if we go into this one, here's the Toml example. So that has the stack name. I just wanted to see if I was setting it for that one. We'll go over here and I'll do something similar. So let's say config toml.example. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this. This doesn't really have parameters per se, but we'll go down below here and paste this in here. And then I'll go up here and grab this config toml. And then we will make this one here, config.toml. And we'll paste this in here. And so for this is going to be CRD net, I believe is what we called it. Just close that out there for a moment. And we'll go back and split. And yeah, this is the networking one. We want this to be called that. So we'll just go ahead and paste that on in there. And so the next thing is I just want to split this again, and I'll bring in our configuration for the cluster, which is over down below here, sorry. And so I just noticed that we aren't passing that cluster, the stack name here. So we'll go ahead and paste that in here like this. Okay. And same thing over here. We'll grab the stack name. And we will paste that on in there like that. Okay. And so, I mean, that looks good to me. We didn't bring over regions. So that's just in case we need to switch regions for any reason here. And then the bucket here is just going to be CFN, or sorry, just bucket, because we're not going to rely on that CFN bucket anymore. We're just going to ignore that. This one doesn't necessarily need any parameters. I mean, obviously you can pass parameters into it. It's just there are no parameters to pass, so I don't want that to error out because there's nothing there. But it really depends on what we put in that networking tab over here. So yeah, we do have some in here. So we could take the same values and populate them if we wanted to change them. I'm fine with the saying defaults for our own. Of course, you'll have to change that according to what your application is. But that seems fine to me. Okay, so basically that means that this should work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do a bin network, just make sure these all work properly. Bin, CFN, cluster deploy, or sorry, network deploy, because we need that first. Okay. Missing argument -t. We are. Let me go back over to here. Oh, config path, right? And so this one's called CFN path. So what do we do for this one? Oh, we just did this. Okay, so I'll copy that here, and we'll go over here. And we'll just change this one over to networking. At some point, we'll fix these paths. I'm just a little bit lazy today. So, yep, so that should fix that issue. We'll go hit up, enter. Undefined method map for nil class. This is because it's trying to do some kind of iteration, because there's no parameters here yet. So we'll take this out because we actually aren't passing any parameters along. So we'll go ahead and do that. And so that will go ahead and create that change set. We'll go back over to our AWS account, over to CloudFormation. And I mean, for you, you might be continuing this video, but I don't really remember what we were doing last. I think what we were trying to do was to use maybe change set or like cross stack stuff. Well, we need to set a parameter for sure. Oh, you know what it was? It was for the cluster. So in the cluster here, I believe what we're trying to do was set this ARN. And so that's why I wanted to bring in CFN Toml. And at this point, I don't know if we need the cross stack. I think that gets set. Well, I think it is being used. If we go into our tab here and we go up, or sorry, I'm looking for the actual this file here, and so it's specified here, and so we could pass that as a parameter in the cluster here. So instead of doing it like that, we could just do this instead, and then we could just say CRDNet, right? So yeah, we could override all these things if we want. We're bringing these defaults over in here, but anyway, it's fine that that is set like that. We'll go back over here. I'm going to give this a refresh. So that has been created. And so now we can go ahead and deploy our clusters. So let's go ahead and do that. And that's going to go ahead and change, add a change set here. So we'll refresh this. And I'll go to my change set. And we will take a look at what it's adding. So we have a bunch of stuff being added. We're going to go ahead and hit execute change set, execute change set. But, you know, for me, I'm always relearning what I've done because in cloud and just in tech general, there's just so much going on. So, you know, if I walk away from something for a week or two, I even forget what it was that I was doing. You know, what's important is that you can get back that knowledge, that high tide knowledge. So here we are running into an issue. The following resources failed to delete Fargate cluster, but it probably failed to create. So let's figure out why. So security group creditor ALG is not a valid, Status 400. So it seems like the security group failed here. Following resources failed to create ALB Fargate cluster. So what I'm going to do, because this is going to be to finish up the cluster layer, is I'm going to stop the video here because we've now solved CFN Toml. And what will be next is working through these issues, okay? So I'm just going to publish this video. I'll be back in a second, all right? Ciao.